fine. Hello, everyone. And I just wanted to say that a couple of weeks ago, somebody rang up and said they were going to read something, and they did. And at the end of the reading, I said, "Oh, that's really lovely. Where's that from?" And they said, "Well, you wrote it. It's in your book, This Freedom, on page 79 to 80." And I was amazed at how I enjoyed this piece of writing. So I thought I'd read it to you today. So it's from This Freedom, page 79 to 80. It's only part of those 2 pages. And it says, in essence, what is sought is love. Love that is absolute, all-embracing and eternal. It is this overwhelming love that many have glimpsed, and which I attempted to describe in the Open Secret book, Walking Across a Park and Then Was No More. It wasn't experience because there was no experiencer. It was a glimpse that no one glimpsed. And then I returned as a someone and tried again and again to rediscover that unconditional love which I would never know. It is that love which is alluded to in literature, music, and art. The most fascinating love stories are about unrequited love because they point to the absolute love which the individual cannot possess. The absolute love that the individual cannot possess. The powerful fascination of falling in love comes out of a primal sense that in that love you could be lost. It is that overwhelming love which is in all of our longing. It is the fullness of the emptiness, the everything and the nothing. It is unconditional love, which also appears as its opposite and embraces that. Wonderfully, it is also that very love which constantly sings to us through our senses and in every part of the aliveness that is happening. Thank you. So that unconditional love is the same as nothing and everything, empty fullness, the formless form. It's all there is. It's just another way of expressing that which can't be known, unconditional love. So we can talk about it together, and everything else. You don't have to talk about love, by the way. We can talk about anything. Thank you.
Okay, we have a question from Stephen. Would you like to unmute yourself, Stephen, and ask your question?
Yes, thank you. Hi, Tony, and thanks for the Open Secret.
Oh.
And my question is, infinite being is revealed, and what's it revealed by?
Oh, well, it's not revealed. It's all there is. All there is already being. You're looking at it. You're breathing it. You're sitting on it. You can feel it. You can hear it. Infinite being is nothing being everything, is empty fullness. It is all embracing, and it is everything, and it's unconditional love, of course. But it is unconditional love, which we can't recognize in our dualistic experience of life. We don't really know what love is. Love in the dualistic world is a need. It's actually a need, love. It's a need to be loved and a need to love. But that unconditional love is beyond knowing. It can't be known, and it is everything. It is already everything that is and isn't happening. So infinite being isn't something out there that's special that comes and goes. It simply is what is apparently happening right now. You're looking at infinite being. You are infinite being. The question is infinite being asking a question. It's in that form. It is the nothing and the everything. That is all there is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Progress.
Haven't got any other questions at the moment.
Oh, right. Well, good. That's all right then. I can go home now. I'll go and have a cup of tea.
So we have a question from Andy. Do you like to unmute yourself, Andy, and ask your question?
Hello, Tony.
Hello.
Andy Pierce. Hi.
Andy. Hi, Andy.
Nice to speak to you again.
And you.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the term "what is." When you say that everything is what is, or you would say that this is what is, all there is what is. And I was getting a little bit confused about the term "I am,"
Oh,
because it's been used in so many different ways. But I got back to Exodus and had a think about it a little bit. And I was wondering whether there's been some sort of mistranslation along the way with "I am." And the word "am" and "is" are very similar. And
yes.
so the difference is between "what" and "I." So I was wondering if when it was written in Exodus that whoever it was, the translation wrote it down, said, well, it's God, so I have to use the first person pronoun. And in fact, if it's not the fact that "what is" and "I am" could not, in one sense, be considered very similar or parallel, although
Parallel to
well,
the
they
God.
are
I am
to
God.
each other. Well, in the sense, yes, in a sense that "what is" and "I am," I'm. Yeah, that's the question, really. Is there any sense in which those could be considered the same?
As far as I'm concerned, they are. For me, the term "I am" is very much to do with the dualistic dream. And so "I am" is definitely for me a self-identification. But it also is equally with God, because God is also a dualistic dream, part of a dualistic dream. God is an apparent being which is separate to its followers, and so the "I am" very much applies to God as it does to individuals who believe they are people. So both of those things, as far as I'm concerned, are very clearly dualistic terms. I don't have any problem with seeing that they can be anything different than that.
Yes. So "I am" would be therefore an expression of, could be, if I've understood this right, could "I am" be an expression of what is from a dualistic perspective?
Well, it could be, but when it's used in those terms, as far as I'm concerned, it comes out of a dualistic dream.
Yes.
The term "I am" is all part of the dualistic dream. Even the term "what is," I'm not very keen on it, in a way to round it off, but even then it's unsatisfactory. All there is what is and is not. But really you start talking in that way, it can become confusing. For me, there is only one word that can get anywhere near to what I'm trying to describe, and it's the word "nothing." All there is nothing.
I was going to say, so the "is not" part of that would be absolute absence, would it?
Well, yes, yeah. Yeah, it is, but it's absolute absence being also everything.
Everything, yes.
So "I am" and "am not" is the same, has the same impact or meaning as "nothing," but I find that "I am" and "am not" a bit something that people can get confused about. It's directly you start saying "I am" and "am not," the mind starts drilling into that and wondering what it means. What do you mean "I am" and "I'm not"? Whereas nothing, even nothing, can be confusing, but it can't. But it's a bit more difficult to maneuver around nothing. It's much more straightforward than anything else. All there is nothing apparently being everything.
Great. Thank you.
Tony, there's next is a written question to read out, which is, why is it said that the true teaching is in silence?
It's said that the true teaching is silence, is in silence. That is said again from a dualistic dream energy. The energy is that silent. There is such a thing as silence, which has some sacred value of some sort and holds the truth. Even the mention of the truth is again a dualistic idea, as though or directly you start talking about the truth, you're also talking about the untruth. We're back to this is and is not, the truth and the non-truth, the silence and the sound. They're all a description of something that's apparently happening, which is actually nothing apparently happening. And directly you get into that idea that silence or the truth has some special value, it becomes a something. Silence becomes a something that you can have. Truth becomes a something that you can have. And it simply fuels the idea that actually in the end, it fuels the idea of two. It's in dualism. It's pure dualism.
Okay, we now have Sky DJ. Would you like to ask your question?
Hi, Tony.
Oh, yeah.
I don't really have a question. It's more of something apparently happened about a week ago. I don't really know the day or the hour. The apparent person had been seeking and seeking and seeking for about 3 years. There was an event in the person's life that seemed to cause a seeking. And so for that time, or parent time, I read every single thing I could get my hands on, watched tons of spiritual teachings, meditated. There seemed to be an apparent falling away of things seemed to be changing. Let's put it that way. I just don't know. I felt like there were unravelings going on, right? Like I was getting closer to what I was seeking, but there was still more seeking. And I was scrolling through YouTube about like a week ago, I don't know the day, and I saw one of your videos come up, and I'd never, like, I had a certain amount of these teachers that I was watching, and then yours appeared, and I for some reason, whatever reason, I was motivated to click on it, and I watched it, and I felt like a resonance, but also the person was going, what? You know what I mean? There was a resistance. But anyway, I was interested. I thought this is there's something here. I don't know what it is. And then I watched a couple of other, videos or whatever. And I watched a live stream of some folks talking about this. And then at some point, I don't know when, last week, everything appeared to be different. I don't know what happened or didn't happen. I just felt like they talk about falling away. Apparently that's what it happened. I seem to have lost attachments to everything. Everything changed. Everything was different. Like even the feeling of love changed. It wasn't a possession anymore, or I can't describe it other than.
That's okay. You're doing very well.
I'm so free. It just feels like liberation. Everything. There's no time. I don't know how to. I don't know time anymore. I don't know what happened yesterday. There's no attachment to anything. I don't know. Like if somebody asked me, I just don't know. There's no time.
No.
It feels like, and everything feels connected. Like nothing feels separate anymore. What I did notice, or the apparent me noticed or not, I don't even know how to say it.
It doesn't matter.
That there was no more relationship, even with my
That's
children,
it.
my grandchildren.
Well,
There
hey.
was no attachment. I still care for them. Don't get me wrong. But it used to be, oh, my grandchildren are my world. You know, like it
Yeah,
doesn't.
yeah.
There's not that.
There's a
There's
freedom.
recognition that
Yeah.
they're just being. They're not. They're not separate. They're not people like
No.
individuals. You know,
No,
it just.
right. Okay.
It's very, I was, you know, through meditation or whatever, the person was getting lots of peace and Zen moments or whatever. And maybe the glimpses they talk about, like this, what they say, Satori or whatever, I don't know. But this just feels, even if there's a slight resistance, the old things that the voice, the person that I used to follow down the rabbit hole of the self-talk.
Yeah.
It almost feels like a whisper now, just like a, like it's a whisper in the wind. I don't even pay attention. It
was like a freedom.
And there's a disappointment. There was kind of like a sadness for the person. Like, wow, not an attachment of sadness. It was like, I felt when I was a child where there was none of that. It just felt connected again. Like there never was that person again. Because when if I think about as being a child, I never really it was just a name that my parents called me anyway. There was no connection to it. That's it. Then I downloaded on Kindle The Open Secret. I read that, loved it. And really resonated. So I'm just here to listen and say thank you.
It's lovely. And thank you so much for your description of what's going on is really lovely, gorgeous.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And come back if you want to say anything.
Will do.
Very lovely to hear you.
So now we have Dario.
Hello.
Hello, Dario.
Dario.
Hello.
Hi. Doesn't matter. I didn't come up with the name. Parents did, apparently. But I wanted to ask about the relationship between unconditional love and personal love, or the parent expression of personal love. Unconditional love, it can appear as everything. But is there then any relationship between unconditional love and the expression of personal love? Well,
you could say unconditional love is all there is, and it is everything, rather like nothing is everything. That's the mystery that can't be understood by anyone, but all there is everything, which is nothing. So in the everything, there can be personal love, apparently personal love. But what I was trying to imply was that all the time there's a person and they're related to another person, there's some sort of bind, there's some sort of investment in that love. It's a need love, a need to be close to somebody or be loved by them. So in the dualistic sense of there being a relationship, then it's not what I would call love. It's more of a need for somebody to want you and you to want them. And there's some sort of agenda going on in that relationship. And so there isn't a relationship between unconditional love and personal love. Personal love is simply arising in unconditional love. Just as nothing is everything, then in everything there is dualism, there is seeking, there is a need for someone else to love you. All of those things are happening or apparently happening, but they are all simply no thing in that form. So personal relationships, or personal love as you call it, is just everything in that form. But in that form, of course, it has an agenda going on, because of course the individual in that dualistic dream is needy, has a need for something to be confirmed. It's separate, so it's always demanding something of life and of another person. So that's how it emerges, and in that way it has, you could say, to be purist about it, that obviously that personal love is not unconditional love, because it is conditional. It's a conditional love. But in another way, you could also say that personal love is simply out of the whole. It is something that's happening out of the whole.
But without the apparent person, without the me, is the expression of love then changing, or
Yeah,
because
when the whole sense of me or separation drops away, it is then seen by no one. Sorry about that. But there is only unconditional love. There is only oneness, wholeness. That's all there is. It was seen that when the individual was there was a personal love which had an agenda with it, a need. It's simply the dropping away of the individual, the dropping away of separation is also the dropping away or falling away of any need.
No, that's what I wanted to know. Yeah. And then apparently that has an influence on the apparent action, or might.
Well, apparent action happens, but it doesn't happen out of anyone.
Okay.
And that doesn't then mean, if there is no one and the whole separation has dropped away and there is only nothing being everything, it doesn't then mean that there would be what we would call, or what could be called, good action coming out of that. There's no action at all that comes out of it at all, because there's nothing happening. So you don't then, I'm getting the sense that what you might be saying is that if there is only unconditional love, then acts of goodness would come out of that. But it isn't like that. There isn't anything that comes out of unconditional love. Unconditional love is already everything.
Everything. Yeah. Thank you, Tony.
Okay.
So now we have Sheer. Sheer?
Yeah, do you hear
Hello.
me, Tony?
Hello.
Do you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can hear you.
yeah. Hi, Tony. Actually, I have nothing to ask.
Right.
I just want to say to you that don't be sick by this has corona, because I have got corona.
Oh, right. Okay.
So, but
Yeah.
don't be sick yourself.
Well, there's nothing I can do about that. Whatever
Right.
happens.
This is what it
It's
is.
very sweet of you to say that.
Yeah, this is what it is. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Get better.
Yeah, it will be
Yeah.
or not is the same.
It will pass by. This too
Yeah.
shall pass.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you.
Thank you. To me, I look very pale in there.
Now we've got Chris. Would you like to unmute yourself?
Hey.
Hello, Chris.
Tony. Hey, very
Hello.
nice to talk to you.
And you.
So if I, the apparent I, were to spend 3 months training very, very hard to, say, run a marathon, up early every morning, running, at the end of that is just what's happening. There was never any me involved in that at all.
No. There was no choice. That's just what was happening. Nobody ever makes a choice, because there is no one. There isn't anyone anywhere.
No.
And therefore there's no choice being made. But what is apparently happening is no thing arising in that form of you running marathons, or that body running marathons,
Yeah.
or lying in bed drinking gin. Whatever it is simply the expression of no thing. the beloved. It's unconditional love, lying in bed drinking gin.
Yeah. Or this
lemonade.
apparent happening of the Zoom meeting, all of us here is just happening, or
Absolutely.
Russia lining up on Ukraine, or
Yeah,
anything,
man.
anything.
Totally.
Just
It's just what's happening. But of course, what's happening is completely without meaning or purpose, because it's not in time. Meaning and purpose need time to be expressed. And actually, there is no time. Time is simply an appearance, like everything else. So everything that's happening is simply an appearance of no thing, and has no meaning of any kind.
is the apparent me just a happening as well?
Of course.
Yeah.
Apparent me is just is no thing in the form of an apparent me.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Thank you.
It's very simple and obvious.
Yeah.
When there's no one, it's very simple and obvious.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tony, now we've got a written question from someone called Lincoln, who says, can Tony please expand on the sense of purpose associated to what he was just talking about, please?
Yes, purpose is something that arises in the dualistic world, and purpose needs time for it to be expressed, it needs time for it to be expressed. If there's a purpose, then it needs time in which it can be realized. Time is simply an appearance, it's not real, and purpose is an appearance, it's not real either. But when the individual takes form in the young child, it grows up with lots of other individuals, and it comes to believe that it is real, and it comes to believe that it has real free will and choice. And it also comes to believe that it's living in a story, its own story, and the story seems to it to be real. And in that story, it gathers up over a period of years the idea, the formulation, the belief that it has some sort of purpose. My life is real. I'm going to live for 70 or 80 years. And in that time, I can realize the purpose of being this or that. And so it invests its energy into fulfilling the purpose that it thinks it needs to fulfill. All of this is part of the illusion of being a real person and the illusion of having real choice. So what we're watching in the world at the moment is that the majority of people in the world believe they are real. They believe they have a purpose. And they also, most of them, believe they have a life in which that purpose can be expressed or fulfilled. And so you see a lot of people trying to fulfill some sort of purpose. It may be doing good to others, it may be killing others, it may be being very powerful. There are all sorts of different ideas and purposes that people feel they have to fulfill. But purpose can only arise in the dualistic dream. The dualistic dream, there's always two. So a purpose, an idea of a purpose may arise, and also what happens with that purpose is its opposite also arises. So in a sense, the me is always in a battle of some sort. It's always in a division. It wants to fulfill its purpose, and yet it also doubts whether it can. That's why we see so much confusion and anger and frustration in the world that we're living in, because everybody is trying to fulfill what is actually a futile dream, which is called a purpose. There is no one, therefore there can't be a purpose. All there is nothing apparently happening.
The next question is from Sundar. Would you like to unmute yourself, Sundar?
Hi, Tony.
Mm-hmm.
How are you?
Yeah, good. You?
I'm good too.
Hi, Sundar.
Yeah. Tony, I have two questions. One is about an interview which you gave a while ago, when you said after you wrote The Open Secret, when you started giving the lectures with the talks, and you said there was a phase when you were between two worlds.
Sorry,
You know,
a
in between
phase,
two worlds.
right? Right at the beginning, yes, there was a movement in and out before.
Yeah, what does it mean? Like it's being still there?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, and there is with everyone. Most people, prior to the falling away, complete falling away, or in a double thing, a meing and a being is happening. Yeah, yes.
But it gives an impression that, you know, the falling away, how can it be like going in and coming out? You know, like you say, it's once it's the me drops, that's it.
No, hold on. Nothing is everything.
Mhm.
Nothing is everything. Therefore, nothing in the apparent person can be meing energy and a being energy. And why shouldn't it be? It can be anything it likes. And so meing and being apparently happen. It's possible that apparent person, there isn't anything that's real, but the apparent person can live for the rest of their life in a meing and being process, in a sense of meing and a sense of being. It's possible that can arise, but it's also possible that the dance between the two can suddenly fall away or apparently fall away, and there is no one left, and all there is nothing apparently happening. But of course, when the whole sense of separation falls away, there is a recognition at that point that there never was a me, there never was something that was separate. It's absolutely obvious and very simple what happens, but it's very, very obvious that there never was a me who seemed to experience me and being. It was just another appearance of nothing in that form.
That implies when the me falls away, there was a recognition that there was never a me. And then when the being is happening. And then when again,
So,
you
well,
go
hold
through
on. What do you mean by being happening?
the meing,
What
like
the-
when the me falls away, it's being.
Well, you could say that, but that sounds like a word or a something.
Yeah.
When the me
yeah,
falls away, apparently, it doesn't really fall away, but when it apparently falls away, there's nothing.
And then there is a possibility that the me can come again.
Of course, anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
But the only thing is that there is nothing for the me to get hold of anymore because there is only nothing. So there isn't a body in that. There's a body, but there is nothing in the body that the me can get hold of, or that could be attracted to the sense of me.
There can still be a contraction at that phase, like when the me falls away.
As far as I'm concerned, when the me completely falls away, there can still be a contraction in the body, of course. But then, of course, there isn't anybody that's having that contraction because there is no me. But there is an awareness, or you could say there's a sense of a contraction arising, but it's just another thing that's happening, like drinking tea or watching the wind blow through the trees. So contraction is just nothing apparently happening. There's no longer anything that takes ownership of that.
So the sense when there is a contraction, there is something that seeks a sense of relief, because the contraction sometimes it seeks relief.
If there's still a sense of a me there and the contraction arises, the me wants to be relieved from that. When there is no one and contraction arises, there isn't anything that takes possession of it or wants to do anything with it. It simply is what is happening.
This brings me to my second question: is in dualistic world, the me or the way we live, we seek for relief. For example, if I have a headache, I would like to take a pill to relieve myself from that. Would you say it is futile?
No, that can happen whether there's a me or not. Taking a pill, an aspirin we call it in England, can happen when there's when the whole illusion of me has fallen away and there is nothing. The body can still take an aspirin if it has a headache, and it also may not. There aren't any rules.
But you wouldn't say it is futile, because I don't know when I heard
Well,
from you, or it's my miss.
everything, in a sense, everything is futile because all there is, but an aspirin could be taken, and a headache may go away or it may not.
Why would you say futile?
If the
What is
headache goes away, it's just another thing that's apparently happening. It has no significance at all.
But it's normal in dualistic world to seek relief, right?
It can happen. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Tony. Nice to see you. Nice talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we've got a question now, a written question, which is, would you please speak about, if there is no me, there is no you?
Well, when we grow up as a me usually. Let's just say that most people grow up with a sense of individualism. I am a person, and they grow up in a world that apparently is full of other people. So they, from a very early age, they start to relate in the way that people do. I am a person and you are another person, and I'm relating to you. So I am real and you must be real as well, because I live in a world that's full of that is real. My world is real, my sense of me is real, and so my sense of you being another me is also real. This is what happens in the dualistic world. So what arises in the dualistic world, which is very much invested in, is relationship. But not only relationship to people, but relationships to trees, the wall, a cup of tea, or whatever's happening, because I am here and the cup of tea is happening to me. I relate to the cup of tea. This is how separation is maintained. Separation is maintained through my sense that I am a person and the tea or a tree or another person is happening to me. It's a something out there which is happening to me as an individual.
Okay, we have Jade now. Would you like to ask your question, Jade?
Yeah, thank
Hiya.
you. Hello, Tony. Thank you for the meeting. I would like to ask, does the me has the power to make things happen?
It has no power at all. It's an appearance. Me is an appearance of nothing in that form. It has no will or power of any kind. It simply is a puppet that's responding or reacting to whatever is happening. Because whatever is happening, apparently, is only apparent. It's not real. So the apparent individual is a puppet reacting and responding to stimulus from outside that is, as far as it's concerned, it experiences as happening to it. So what is happening outside that influences its actions is obviously a separate energy that is experiences itself as a separate energy. So it has no power. It is simply reacting, responding to what is. It has no power because it's nothing in that form. Now, the only thing is, it's under the illusion that it has free will and choice, and it is under the illusion that what it does is of its own volition. That all of that is illusory. And actually, recently, neuroscientists and neurobiologists have been able to prove that, in fact, there isn't anyone that makes any choice of any kind, and the apparent choice that seems to arise in them arises after the action's been taken or during the action being taken. It's quite obvious and apparent that there is no one and there is no choice. So obviously there's no power.
Okay, so when I see someone going to war, for whatever reason, can I say they are not in control of their action for going
course.
to?
There isn't
fight a
anyone.
war?
There isn't anyone in control because there isn't anyone. All individuals are an appearance of no thing. So they don't, anyone that goes to war or doesn't go to war, those things are something that happens out of nothing. Simply nothing in that form. Somebody at war. Or
Wow.
not.
Thank you. That's very clear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now got Helen.
Helen. Hello, Helen. Put your sound on.
Hello. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's on now. Yeah, I understand so much of what you say. I do understand, and I have had some bits of falling away and everything else, but there's still a strong sense of the world is happening to me. I understand how that comes about. I can see that the thoughts happening bring that about. But there's something in me that just won't have it for some reason. Feels
No,
like I'm holding on.
Only because you understand it. Understanding is still a function that's going on in the individual energy. So the individual understands what this message is, but it's not anything more than understanding. So it's not an energetic sense of this. So it's just another concept. There are quite a lot of people who talk in concepts about this, and people listen to it and understand it and somehow feel they're getting somewhere. But all they're getting to is a place in themselves, in the dualistic self, which understands the new message. It has nothing to do with anything happening, because this is only purely about energy. It's an energetic dropping of a sense of contraction into being whole. It has nothing to do with understanding. Understanding keeps you locked into the conceptual sense of something. The idea that there's no one is still only an understanding. I am no one. It can still be just words as an understanding.
Yes. As you were talking for the first time, I thought, hold on a minute. I'm understanding. Hold on. Who is understanding? What's understanding what? And what's understanding got to do with anything?
Nothing.
Has nothing to do with anything.
Well done.
That were a bit of a shocker, actually.
Yeah, it is a bit of a, yeah.
I thought, I thought I'm grasping this. I understand this. I understand this. Why is something not happening? So hold on a minute. Why should something happen on one hand? And what does understanding mean anyway on the other hand? So it's a bit of a shocker.
I refer back to my reading at the beginning of this thing. Have you ever fallen in love?
Yes.
Okay. When falling in love happened, did you understand it?
No. It
can't be understood. It's something energetic that is absolutely completely beyond understanding. You can make a list of the things that you love about that person, but that's just a list of items that you like about them. But the actual energy of falling in love is totally beyond knowing and understanding, because it's nothing to do with you. That's why it's so primal. So in a way, falling in love with someone has a very similar energy to what we're talking about here. And that is that you can be in life and understand life. You can even come and understand about there being no one, or there being no free will, and all those things. And then all of that can go on, and you've got a sort of structure in your mind of what you think this is about. But suddenly one day, whoosh, the whole thing suddenly, it's something else beyond me understanding. Oh.
Thank you.
Okay, you are that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have another written question. Accepting there is no me or you, are there any tips or
Oh,
suggestions
sweet.
that can be given that may help some of us have the realization that you speak of? Any techniques that might help us realize this and thereby fall away?
No, absolutely not, because we're back to the same thing again as understanding. And that is that all the time you're locked into dualism and you'll have a sense of being a person, then what you're trying to discover is another object, because you're in a subject-object experience. So I'm the subject, and the object I want to ask Tony about and find a technique to find is a subject. It's an object that I can have. And all the time there is a sense that in some way or other, awakening, or whatever you like to call it, is an object that you can have. And your activity and any idea that there's a technique or process which will bring you to that object is absolutely divinely, wonderfully, beautifully futile. It's absolutely futile, because I said to the lady just now, this has nothing to do with understanding something or trying to follow some sort of technique in order to obtain an object, because actually you are living in that which you long for. It's energetic. Everything that is in your life is energetically that love that you long. It can't be obtained, it already is. And any attempt to try and obtain it is simply an intention. So this is about energy, and the energy of the seeker. The energy of the seeker is an intention, an agenda to own something. That's why it can only ever fail. It can only ever fail. You can't own this.
And there's just one other question that's written. It says, Tony, what would you say about the apparent law of attraction that Rhonda and the Greatest Secret talk about, which to me feels very negative, as the fearful thoughts one can have would just be attracted?
Well, it's just another fallacy. It's just another part of the fallacy of dualism. There are organizations which talk about the law of attraction, and they try to help you to develop some sort of process where you can attract what you want. But again, we're back to subject-object process. We're back to the idea. I mean, in a way, you could say the law of attraction. You could apply the law of attraction to enlightenment or awakening, but that is doing the same thing again as people who try to sell the idea of the law of attraction. All they're trying to do is to get you to use some sort of process where you can attract to you an object that you want. It's all part of a completely futile belief system that's born and lives in dualism.
Okay, now we have Petra. Would you like to?
Hello, Petra.
Hi, Tony. Oh, it's so wonderful to see you both. I miss you so much. So thank you very much for the meeting, and
No,
so much.
we're not doing it. It's what's happening. We're not doing this. It's what's happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so much love comes when I listen to you, and it's so wow. I love you so much, both of you. It's yeah, thank you. I don't have much to say.
No, that's lovely. Thank you. Wow.
Yeah, wow, it's just love. Wow.
Okay.
We've got Barbara now.
Hi, Tony.
Hello, Barbara. Is your sound on, Barbara?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Okay. I just want to say thank you. My earliest seeming recollection is that there was something that I could never know. And I remember this I seemingly remember this longing to know that. And with your message, I have done nothing. I just, it's clear that I could never know it, and that's as it is. And no effort, nothing, just nothing. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We now have Jason. Would you like to unmute yourself, Jason?
Hi, Tony.
Hi, Jason.
Where do I start? There's no way to explain anything, why anything happens. If there's just what's happening, there's no.
But only apparently.
Yeah, I mean, I was sitting here earlier in the meeting, and the whole sense of personal choice just evaporated. There's just what's happening, and but then there was some kind of needing to explain, or again understand, or have something to hold on to. Right?
Yeah, because otherwise you don't feel. Otherwise you don't feel safe. Because this is about free. This is about free fall. And when you hear this, there's a sense of free fall, something unknowing that can't be established, and so you go back to try and understand something in order that you can feel safe.
Yes, exactly. I heard someone refer to it as free floating rather than free fall. Which seems less scary to hear, but the feelings are the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to say hi. So thank you very much.
Okay. Hi.
Okay. Now we've got Chris again. Would you like to?
Good.
Is it okay to ask a?
Yeah, you can have as many as you like.
Okay. So back to Helen's question about understanding. A few questions ago, as somebody who's also always trying to understand things. I mean, there's nothing wrong with understanding. It's not good or bad.
No,
it's also just what's happening. And there's no one to understand anyway. It's just what's happening.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good. You're okay now then. There's nothing right or wrong with anything. All there is what appears to be happening. At the moment, what appears to be happening is you're talking to this and this is talking to you. That. And there's nothing right or wrong with that.
But I'll sit there and struggle really hard and try to figure something out. And then I'll kind of catch myself. I was like, oh my God. Then I'll
that's okay.
Yeah.
You try and figure it out.
I'll try to figure it out some more. But it doesn't matter.
Well, if it doesn't
just what's happening.
If you try and figure it out and you can't figure it out, you need to try harder.
Yeah, right.
That's a joke, by the way.
And then go have some gin. No.
Yeah, you got it from me.
Thank you.
Thank
you. So we've got Jade again.
Hello, Tony.
Oh, yeah.
Hello, Jade. Yes. Thank you. I would like to ask, what's the difference when listening to your message while awake and when falling asleep? What's the difference between these two different states? Like listening to you when I'm wide awake and when I am falling asleep. What's the difference?
There isn't any. There's no difference, except in deep sleep, there isn't anyone. There is only no thing with no sense of identity in it. But as the sleep becomes more shallow, then dreaming happens. But there isn't any difference between that and what's happening now. It is what's happening. It is no thing apparently happening.
But when I fallen asleep, your video still playing. Is that still listening?
Sorry, is there? Not good.
When I am totally fallen asleep, but your video is still playing, I still
Oh,
yeah, your video is still on while I just totally fallen asleep. And is there still somebody listening?
there can be or not. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you listen to this or not. This is not about something that you need to listen to and understand. This is what's going on here is unconditional love. It's simply energy in this form. What we're all doing together is sharing something that can't be understood. We're sharing unconditional love. That's the energy of this what's happening. So it doesn't matter if you're asleep or not. That's all there is.
Oh, okay.
In any
Thank you.
form. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
So we've got a written question now. Why do fearful thoughts still come up still? Is it just noise?
It's just something that's happening. Fearful thoughts can still arise when there's no one, but they are just what's happening. All there is what's happening. The difference is if you are an individual and you have fearful thoughts and you take ownership of them and believe in them in your story, because the individual lives in a story and it can have fearful thoughts about that story and make it very real and make that sense of the thoughts of what they are pointing to very real. When there is no one, fearful thoughts can still arise, but they are just what's happening and they're not happening to anyone. They're not owned.
I've got another question now. When I meditate, I can feel the peace, the space in which everything appears, thoughts, emotions, etc. It's like a sense of presence, unconditional love without limit. Is this the same that you're talking about?
I don't think it is. It doesn't feel as though it is, but if that's what's happening, that's what's happening. There's nothing right or wrong with it. And there's nothing you can do about making it different or not doing it or doing it. It's what's happening. It is wholeness, oneness, no thing arising in that form. What you've described is simply no thing arising in that form. There's nothing right or wrong with it. It's simply what's happening. And you're not doing it. You're not meditating. It's what's apparently happening.
And there's another question. Tony, is a sense of where in nothingness, or is locality a further aspect of a dualistic existence idea, i.e. here, there? Is the apparent occurrence somewhere or nowhere or everywhere?
Both nowhere and everywhere. There is no sense of locality in that sense, in that way, because there would need to be a someone who is in a locality and is experiencing a locality. That's the dualistic world in which most people live.
Okay, Barbara Gabriel.
Hi, Tony.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
Hi,
you for
Barbara.
Thank you for this time.
You need to speak up a bit, Barbara.
Yeah, thank you for this Skype. Can you hear
Okay,
me?
not my time. I don't have any time. There's no time. I'm not
And
doing this. This is what's
for
happening.
the Skype.
Oh,
Yeah, I have something which is present. It feels like opening, and then it feels like there is the unconditional love when you speak about it. It's heard, but at the same time, something is closing. So I wonder if you could speak about that. I would call it a paradox of longing strongly to something and at the same time trying everything to escape it.
okay. So your voice is rather strange, and I don't really think I understand what you're talking about. I heard something about I
Oh,
heard something.
now I will try different. Just wait a second.
Ah,
That's better.
Yeah.
It's better now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So I repeat once again. It's just what's happening. I know it's apparent, but there is maybe you can speak about that wish for unconditional love, and I can feel when you speak about unconditional love, there is something so big and unknowing that it closes immediately. It's like that paradox of wanting and not wanting.
Tell me what closes. I don't understand what closes. You have a longing for unconditional love, and does that longing close?
No, it's not the longing that closes, but I guess it's fear of losing within it or disappearing or whatever.
That's all right. That's what's happening. The thing with the individual in the dream, dualistic dream, what the individual longs for most is absence, but what the individual also fears most is absence. So what you're doing is longing to be absent, to be in unconditional love, and also you're afraid of losing yourself in that love. I did right at the beginning in my little talk when I read out of my book. Falling in love is a fearsome thing. It can make you very afraid because it's primal. It's about a primal sense that in love you can lose everything. That's the sense. Falling in love with someone or just falling in love with unconditional love. So it's wonderful, it's amazing, wonderful, and frightening.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see the difference. Before I was having that concept of unconditional love. That was easy because it felt like controlled or
it was
like,
the thing.
Like freedom as a concept or peace or whatever. But that's not what's here anymore. It's something which is totally frightening and unknown.
It's energy. That is energy. Previously, you were talking about an understanding of unconditional love, some sort of understanding about it, which made it an object. Now you're talking about something that's energetic.
Yeah.
That's great. That's good. That's what this is all about, energy. And there can be a fear that can arise in that.
And again, there is nothing to be done. It just is.
Well, there isn't anyone. There's nothing to be done.
I can feel that there isn't anyone.
No.
But there is an excitement and there is fear the same.
Yeah.
But it's very clear. There is, I can.
It's exciting and frightening. That's what falling in love is.
Thank you for naming it.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Mm-hmm.
So now we have Kirsten.
Yes, hello, Tony. Can you hear me?
Hello. Yes, I can.
Hello. I would come back to what you said before. When in this appearing, what is appearing, when there comes something positive on the same time or at the same time comes something negative. Is there a kind of balance in what is arising?
Everything is balanced. Everything is completely neutral. The reason that everything that's happening is completely new is that what appears to be happening is nothing. So although it looks as though it's going one way and another, actually the energies are just balanced and neutral because there's nothing happening. And all of those things that appear to be arising are arising in conditional love, which is a complete embrace and balance of everything back into oneness.
How wonderful. Really. Thank you.
Okay.
Now I've got William.
William. That my William. William.
Yeah.
How lovely to see you.
And you. What I want, I don't know if it's a question, but what's coming up for me is about, it just feels like everything I do as a person is motivated by trying to become good enough.
Absolutely. Fear of not being good enough and wish to be good enough. Totally. You are a businessman. The me is a businessman who's always looking for a better experience or trying to bring things about in such a way that it will experience a better life.
Because I also think if liberation happens, so-called liberation, if I fall away, then I'll finally become good enough.
Oh, sweetheart.
I know that's not what you're saying.
Well, you will be good enough because you will be everything and nothing. And that sounds good enough to me. Oh, not already nothing and everything, but you still live in your in your head and think there's something, or there is someone there who has to act in a certain way to be good enough. It's totally, utterly endearing.
So that energetic, embodied sense of feeling like a person who isn't worthy can have an effect on the thoughts and the physiology, how it reacts to events and interacts with other apparent bodies.
Totally. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's what runs it. It's what drives it on. And don't forget that everybody who's born after a year or two is apparently rejected from heaven or paradise or home, because the oneness which is there is suddenly two-ness. So at a very early age, there's a feeling that you've lost home, something's been lost. That sense of something being lost causes you to grow up, or apparently causes you to grow up, with a feeling of inadequacy, not being ever good enough. So most of the people in the world feel that inadequacy, and they try to cover it up or do something about it so that they don't go on feeling it. It's what drives a lot of seeking.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, we've got another written question, which is, I feel I can't let go of the me because I make sure that I'm safe and don't become reckless. Is it really so that without me, everything I feel is important, like taking care of people, paying the mortgage, or making the right choices, will still happen?
Absolutely. What's wonderful about that? The list of three things that's given me, you've never done. You've never done any of that. Although you think or believe in someone, you take action to put all those things and make them work, put them right and make them work. You've never done anything. It's no one. All there is what's happening. Mortgage happens. You don't pay the mortgage. Paying the mortgage or not paying the mortgage is what happens. And when the individual falls away, it'll be exactly the same again, and there'll be a realization that there never was an individual that ever paid the mortgage, and that somehow a mortgage gets paid or it doesn't get paid. And all of that, it's recognized, is simply wholeness, oneness, nothing in that form. All that's arising and happening is simply nothing arising in the form of someone paying a mortgage. Nobody's ever paid a mortgage. These things seem to happen for no reason or at all. So don't imagine. I think there's just this. The sense of your question is, if I am no more, how can these things happen? How can mortgage be paid? Well, even before you drop the idea of being an individual, the illusion of being an individual, the mortgage was already being paid without you. It didn't need you at all. It's what's happening. When the illusion of being yourself collapses, of course, that will simply go on as it did before.
There's another one, which is, can you talk about longing for freedom through money?
Through money?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. It's a lovely idea. I quite attracted to the idea of trying to be free or be enlightened or whatever through money, because although that will never happen, if you've got a lot of money and you're not enlightened and you're still seeking, at least you're seeking in comfort. Because you, I was with Osho once, and he said to me, well, he didn't say it to me, but he was describing it, and I loved it. When I was much younger, I used to go around in a cart with a cow in this cart, and I was meditating in this cart that was rocking and banging against the road and so on. And it was very rickety and uncomfortable. Now I can meditate in the Rolls Royce, and I think I'd rather do that. It's much more comfortable. So there's a choice of some kind.
There's another one. When the me fell away, did you still have old emotional reactions to life, or did they all fall away with the me? If
No,
someone
the
is
old.
rude, if someone is rude, unkind, or mean to you after me is gone, do you still have old reactions, or are you permanently peaceful?
Ask Claire. No, all those things go on, but they are no longer happening to anyone. Not all of them necessarily go on, but a lot of the brain holds those sort of reactions or responses in the body. That's held, but all the time that's happening in the individual, and it's an experience that the individual owns, and it responds and reacts to something that it owns of itself that it's trying to get rid of. When the whole illusion of me drops away, any emotional feelings can still arise, but they don't arise for anyone. But there can still be a reaction to an emotional feeling. There isn't anyone that is doing it. Of course, there was never anybody doing it before, except that you live in the dualistic sense that you were a person who was acting. It was your experience that was acting after those emotions, and you were doing your best to resolve them in some way or other. That simply doesn't arise anymore in that way. It is simply that all these things that are happening, like emotional things that are happening that we're describing, are simply something that's apparently happening, and there is no ownership of them anymore. They are simply free floating. They are nothing arising in that form, and they have no meaning or purpose of any kind.
So now we've got a question from Hans.
Let's see. Hello, Tony.
Hello.
Calling from Sweden.
Yeah.
When this pandemic hopefully is over sometime, it would be nice to. I know you've never been in Sweden.
No.
No. So that maybe we can arrange something.
Yeah. We're beginning to look at going to places and having live meetings. So that's a possibility.
That's good. Well, I have a question. This, what we call the falling away of the person, it's like an accident.
Well, that's your belief.
No, okay, but it's not something I can plan for.
Oh no, there is no you to plan anything.
No.
It never has been you to plan anything, though you may believe you are.
But since then, it's not useful to try to be accident prone. No?
Well, you can't be anything. There isn't anyone.
Okay.
There isn't anyone anywhere. There's no free will or choice. All there is nothing apparently happening.
Okay.
So the whole idea that you can be one way or another is futile, utterly futile.
Get it. I have another thing to want to talk to you with. I'm a retired psychologist. I worked as a psychologist for many years.
Mm.
And now, since I am in the house of the end of the road, as someone calls it, you know.
What does that mean for you? I don't understand what that means. Say what.
I mean, there isn't anywhere to go further.
Oh.
I mean, a year-long searching for things, spiritual and so on. And when you put, as someone said it, the head in the tiger's mouth, you are in the end of the road.
Mm.
But what I've been thinking about is, when I met all those patients over the years, as I see it now, the problem was the story all the time.
Mm.
But since there is, as you said, nothing we can really do, so we can't.
No, hold on. I haven't said there's nothing we can do. It's far worse than that. There is no you, and
Okay.
there's nothing to be done.
Okay, I get it, Tony. But back to this, there isn't any sensible way to work as a psychologist when you heard this communication.
No.
So
You're running round in a wheel. All you're doing is running round in a wheel.
Yeah. So it's better to just drop it.
Well, but you can't drop it either. There's no choice.
You got me. Okay. That's fine, Tony. I hope I will see you in Sweden in the future.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So we've got Malika now.
That's a familiar name. Oh, Marmalade.
Where have you gone,
Hello?
Malika?
Hello.
She seems to have disappeared.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot my mic. Now you hear me?
Hear you, we can't see you.
We can't see me either.
Oh.
How's that?
That's awful that we can't see you.
That's awful.
There
I'm
you
seeing,
are. Hooray,
I'm seeing
Marmalade.
myself. Hello. Can you
Hello,
see me now?
sweetheart.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, and I see you, and I'm very happy to see you. I forgot
Aren't
how.
you lucky? Aren't you
Yeah,
so
I forgot
lucky?
how good looking you are. I didn't
Again, you
remember for some
noticed
reason.
that. You noticed.
Yeah, I don't have any question. I just wanted to
No.
say that because
No.
so far you haven't said anything that's provoking me.
Oh, what a shame. I'll try and find something.
So I just wanted to say
Yeah,
hello.
it's lovely to see you, sweetheart.
Thank you.
We've had some nice talks on the phone lately, haven't
Yes. Yeah. You
Great.
you might hear from me again. We'll see.
we? That'll be wonderful.
Yeah. And I see that Claire is on your side, so
Yeah,
I'm saying
she
hello
is,
to her.
Yeah, she's there. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we've got Jade again.
Hello, Tony.
Hello, Jade. She's down there.
I would like to. Yes, I'm here.
No.
I would like to ask, after listening to this message, can it naturally cause the me to lose interest in the happening and lose interest in the knowing the appearance of things?
I don't think I fully understand what you're saying. All I can say to you is that there is no free will or choice, therefore there's nothing that can be done. Also, there is nothing that needs to be done because already everything is whole and perfect. But I don't know whether that answers your question because I don't think I heard all your question. I got the sense you were asking if there was something that could be done.
It's just I feel like I am losing interest in the happening.
Losing interest in what's happening.
Oh, that's wonderful. What a wonderful celebration. Because there's nothing happening. So how could you ever be interested? in anything.
So
There
the
is
me
nothing.
can lose interest.
Yeah, absolutely, totally, because there's nothing happening. All there is sitting on a seat talking about losing interest. All there is
But
is
there's
what
no
there is.
me to lose interest.
No. Well, all right. Well, that's over then. So it's what there is. Sitting on a seat, just sitting on a seat is it. It's very simple and very obvious. All there is what's apparently happening. It doesn't matter about if it's interesting or not anymore.
Yeah, the happening.
This is about falling in love with life.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we've got Anne-Marie.
Anne-Marie. Right.
Good evening.
Hiya, Anne-Marie.
Hello, Tony. This is my first time, and I'm from Holland.
Right.
And well, I just want to say that I'm very pleased to hear everything and to listen to the questions of everyone, because it's so nice that we all seem to struggle with the same things, and that we share it all together. And
yeah, I agree.
I would like to say that I do hope you come to Holland once.
Well, we've been many times.
Have you?
Well, we have our eye on coming again this year.
Good, because I just heard from you a month ago, I think. So it's very nice. So I would like to say thank you, and I'll follow more things. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. That's lovely. Thanks for the message and the invitation.
Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we've got Sheer.
It's Tony again.
Hello. Hello again.
Yeah. Tony, I just wonder how come that Emerson collapsed?
Sorry?
Emerson, the one who arranged this meeting.
Emerson.
Yeah. How come that he collapsed?
How do you know that?
Because I did listen to him a little bit.
How come he what? Nobody collapses. I don't understand how you could understand.
I mean,
that there is someone called Emerson who's collapsed. There's no one ever collapses. There's nothing to collapse from.
Yes, but I mean now you do speak like you speak.
I didn't hear that.
He shared the same message as
well,
you
he doesn't. No, he doesn't. There is no one that shares a message. There just is the message.
Yeah. I mean that. Yeah.
This has got nothing to do with anyone.
Yes.
I don't have a message.
Yes, but Tony, I just feel you and I understand you completely. The message, I mean, your message. And nothing else, just this. So that's why always I said I don't have any question,
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
There's just one final written question, which is, how similar is all this to when we dream at night? It seems like it is very similar.
Yeah, it is the same. It's simply that dreaming at night is another thing that's happening. It's no different to being awake in that sense, except in deep sleep, there's no dreaming happening. There just is what is. But in the normal dreaming function, it's the same as when you wake up. And for the individual, all the time there's an individual. When the individual wakes up in the morning, it believes it's stopped dreaming, but it hasn't. It's still in the dream of duality, which it thinks is real.
And we've got a question from Lloyd.
Hi, Tony.
Hiya, Lloyd.
So, can we just take the example of two, what do you call them? Body minds. They're not people, but there is a body mind apparently.
Apparently.
And one's paying the mortgage and one isn't, and they're not paying it. In one case, the body mind is in a house with the mortgage paid. The other one's in a house without a mortgage paid, and they're going to be evicted. So my question is, there's apparently a difference in the quality of one's life. Apparently, some people are comfortable, some people are uncomfortable, some people are in pain, and others. And I realize there's no person having the experience, but clearly you're living in a comfortable home. Would it make a difference to your body mind to be on the street, evicted? From a quality of experience.
No, there's no difference except that there's no experience. All the time there's an experience, and the experience.
So Tony, if none of this makes any difference, why do you bother to talk to us?
Why do I bother?
To talk.
I don't bother to talk. I'm not bothering to talk to you at all. I'm not talking to you. This is unconditional love talking. There isn't anyone that's choosing to do it. It's what's happening.
Well, you scheduled it, didn't you? Someone
No,
scheduled.
I didn't schedule it. It got scheduled. Nobody does anything. But you obviously are under the impression that there is such a thing as an individual who can plan and do something and not do something. That's the great illusion.
Well, let me ask you this then, because this concept of pain comes up. If someone's sticking a needle into my eye, it does give me the impression that I'm in pain. And if you're watching that happen to me, you're not in pain. So we're definitely, what is very different for me than what is.
What you're describing is nothing apparently happening. I don't see what the problem is.
But if you have a needle being stuck in your eye, you'd be screaming in pain. It's an awful experience. I know no one's having it, but I don't think I want that experience.
It doesn't matter whether you're having it or not. If you are an individual, you think it's happening to you. All I'm saying is all there is nothing apparently happening. And if having a needle in your eye is what's happening, that's nothing apparently happening or not. That's the beginning and end of it.
But it does feed the sense that I'm this body mind versus the one that doesn't have the pain. I mean, the experience
Obviously, there's somebody who does have pain and there's somebody else that doesn't have pain. I don't know what the argument is about.
No, but there's now a difference in the quality of their life. And wouldn't you want to improve the quality of your life? Because there is a difference.
You try to, as long as you're an individual and you think you have free will and choice, you try to change the quality of your life. You can't actually do anything about it at all. But all there is, is a myriad of different qualities of life. There's no argument with it. That's what's happening. What's the problem?
So then what's the problem? Because if someone has a miserable life, someone on the phone right now, it's one of these people whose faces I see, have a miserable life, there's a sense of hopelessness in your message because there's nothing they can do to make it better.
Absolutely.
So they're going to, right? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So what do we do with that? Why talk to us? Once again, Tony, why talk to us if there's nothing I can do about it? There's no change.
I can't do anything about talking about it. It's what's happening. All there is nothing apparently happening. And what's happening here is that I seem to be talking and you should be talking, and that's all there is. There is no choice. Thank you very much.
Yeah, good luck.
Bye.
It's 6 o'clock, Tony.
Okay, I just wanted to say there's a lovely message at the beginning, and whatever is said or not said in this meeting is simply what's happening, but all of what's happening here and onwards, if there is an onwards, but what's happened so far is an absolute expression of unconditional love, and it will go on being that regardless. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Tony.
Tony,
So
thank you,
much.
Tony.
Tony.
Thank you, Claire.
Darlings, love you, love you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Claire.
Bye bye.
Thank you,
Claire.
Claire. Thank you, Emerson.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Marianne. Thank you, Emerson. Thank
Have
you,
a
Tony.
tea.
Thank you, Claire.
Thank you so much, Tony.
And Emerson. Thank you, Graham.
Thank you, Emerson.
Thank you, Emerson.
Thanks, Emerson.
Thank you, Emerson. Bye. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.